So that's what it is.
I see the minister's office logged in.
Yeah, that's right. So it's 11, so I think we should start any time now. Do we know how many people are on Facebook Live also logged in?
Yeah, we are just checking, Jalaj. Mr. is also joining in a while. His office called just now.
Sure.
He's coming in.
Thank you.
Minister's
So
there.
it's 74 on Facebook currently.
Namaste, sir.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Yes, sir. So, sir, can we start, sir? शुरू कर सकते हैं?
हाँ जी, मैं तो ready हूँ.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
So, good morning, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to Shri Kiran Rijiju ji, Minister of State for Youth Affairs and Sports Independent Charge and Minority Affairs. May I invite now Ms. Mona Lisa Barua Mehta, Arjuna awardee and former table tennis champion. Podium, please.
Good morning. I'm delighted to welcome you all the members and special invitees to the second annual general meeting of Sportscom Industry Confederation. It is my great pleasure to welcome our today's chief guest, Shri Kiran Rijiju, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge for Youth Affairs and Sports and Minority Affairs, Government of India. Sir, we are extremely honored that you could grace us with your presence for this important day of Sportscom. It is certainly a matter of great encouragement for all of us. Sir, taking this opportunity, Sportscom members will make presentation on select key areas of sports in this meeting today. We look forward to the next very engaging sporting Wana, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mona Lisa ji. May I now request Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General CII and Member Managing Committee of Sportscom to address us, please.
Thanks, Jalaj, and congratulations. I'd like to really begin by also welcoming the Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports and the Minority Affairs, Shri Kiran Rijiju, to this very, very important and a very significant moment of time where the second annual general meeting of the Sportscom industry. And Jalaj, thank you very much for inviting me. I really also want to, on my personal behalf and behalf of the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, welcome all to this wonderful arrangement of a meeting by the Sportscom, which is an association which we have been happy to have incubated, an association which we are happy from CII to have supported, and we are seeing it grow, and I'm sure this will be a huge referral point for sports in the country in the times to come, and it's already become. So indeed a special occasion for Sportscom, and delighted that our Honorable Minister could grace this occasion. And I must say that today, if I may say that this is for the first time that one sees so much of focus on sports and fitness in the country, which is unprecedented. We have seen it over the last few years, and we have seen a very dynamic minister, if I can say, who has been completely involved in seeing how the entire attitude of the nation could be different towards fitness, could be different towards sports, and therefore it gives all the more encouragement for all of us to be in this. And in our 125 years of journey in CII, we have incubated many, many important sectoral associations, be it a vehicle manufacturing association, or be it the IT industry, or others in the service. But for sports and fitness, I think this is our first venture to support an institution. And our encouragement, our enthusiasm has really come in the last few years when we have seen a very strongly committed government and a leadership which really encourage us to do so. And this is something very, very critical, as we understand, and as all of us know very well, that a fit country, a sporting country, is a happy country. And that's what we are seeing so very much in the last few years, which really encourages us. And I'm happy again to be playing any role from the CII to support Sportscom. And I would also like to say that with the network that, say, for instance, we have within the CII, we would like that network, which is our office in each and every state of India, or maybe in many, many states, we have multiple offices of 4, 5, 6 offices in certain states, district offices now. We would like that to be leveraged very well by the Sportscom as we go along, because I think industry today is committed. Industry today also needs, there is a lot of economic sense also for industry to be really involved and to support this this wonderful association, which one sees grow in front of us. And I'm sure, Jalaj, we will see this to become a much larger institution very, very soon. We all know the significance of sports. As I speak from the industry, the significance of sports in terms of livelihood, in significance of sports in the economy. And there is a case for sports to be a vital economic sector by itself and contributing significantly to the GDP. And the sports sector of mature national economies such as Australia or Germany or the United States, of course, that provide around 2 to 4% of the total employment and 2 to 5% of the GDP. And India, the contribution of sports to the national economy and employment, there's a huge scope in it. And therefore, it makes so much of sense for us at the CII to be collaborating and participating in seeing that Sportscom becomes the referral point of sports in India completely. And the support of the Honorable Minister and the guidance of the Honorable Minister, the inputs that the Honorable Minister gives in this direction would be of great value. And I just wanted to be very once again commit our support, our involvement in the Sportscom very strongly to take forward, and whatever it is required to see that industry plays an important role is well brought in through this forum. So I just once again would like to thank Jalaj for inviting me and asking me to join Sportscom and asking CII to be the incubator, if one can say, of Sportscom and to participate today. And great to have the Honorable Minister, such a dynamic minister, to give this blessings, if I can say, in seeing to it that we have a strong agenda ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CB. Good morning, friends. I want to invite Shri Kiran Rijiju, Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sports, Independent Charge and Minority Affairs to this grand setting. This is the second annual general meeting of Sportscom. As I think some of you know, Sportscom was something that was conceived over the last 5 years under the Olympic Task Force that was set up by the Prime Minister's office to have a body as far as the sports industry is concerned. And Pulela ji, who's on the call today, was part of it. So was Mr. Pradhan, who's not able to be with us, and of course, many others. But I never imagined that we will have the honor of the minister himself at the second AGM. We see you, sir, on social media, so busy with so many things. I don't know when you get time for yourself, for your family, But for sports, I know for the youth of this country, we have seen, sir, there is always a lot of time that you provide. So it provides us a lot of encouragement by having you, sir, in person today in middle of all of us. Friends, as we all know, sports agenda is not new for India. Sports remains a powerful tool to catalyze the society and to bring in positive behavioral changes in this billion plus powerful nation. A healthy and positive society is a prerequisite for a truly developed nation. And whether it's the Honorable Prime Minister, whether it's the Honorable Minister, we have always heard this from them. The government has been making all efforts to transform sports by mainstreaming all its development aspects. Today, India plays much more sports than ever before. That is good for the economy in many aspects. Lower health costs, higher revenues for exchequer, and a more vibrant local economy. I would like to say a special thank you to our Honorable Minister for bringing a certain amount of energy, vision, and empathy to the sports ministry and the sports ecosystem. It is amazing to see how accessible and responsive you are to sports people across the country. And I say this from my personal experience. I know it was a simple request from Uditji to you to be part of this AGM today, and you readily agree. Thank you again, sir, for that. Under your guidance, the Sports Ministry and the Sports Authority of India have been transformed to become enablers for the sports ecosystem in India and just not policy makers. Sir, Fit India and other initiatives, notably in the areas of sports awards, anti-doping measures, Khelo India University Games, etc., launched under your stewardship, have already become a success, and we think they will provide major impact in the days and the years to come. It is increasingly becoming visible how Minister Sir is putting piece by piece that bricks which will construct Honorable Prime Minister's vision for sports and India's rightful place in Olympics in the coming years. This is a very tough task, but Honorable Minister Sir is known to take up challenges and handle them with ease, just like he tracks easily across the mountains in his home state of Arunachal Pradesh. And I have seen many photographs of him doing this on his Twitter handle. At this point, I must mention that both the Department of Sports and the Sports Authority of India, under your guidance, has become far more engaged with the private sector with a mindset to work together and transform the sports ecosystem along with private sector. Must thank the sterling role being played by Sports Secretary Shri Ravi Mittal ji and DG of SAI Shri Sandeep Pradhan ji in this context. As a result of these visionary policies, the growth for fitness and sports industry in India is at a rapid pace. Along with the arrival of sports culture in the country, the business of sports seems to have well and truly arrived. All we have to do is to re-establish ourselves in the new world of sports with a modern ecosystem, new policies in some areas, and with the latest resources in the global context once again. Sportscom, sir, is a non-profit apex body for development and catalyzation of the sector with a vision to make India globally competitive and enable it to become amongst the top 5 countries within the global sports industry, as you have also articulated many times. Sportscom was established in 2018, and the members comprise of businesses and professionals who provide goods and services to the sports industry. As on date, we have 15 individual members, sir, and 36 corporate members. With a vision of making sports sector globally competitive, Sportscom has been relentlessly advocating policies on raising the quality standards and cost competitiveness of the sports sector at global level. Our intent is to build, sir, an inclusive platform for sports manufacturers, sports infrastructure developers, sports service providers, stakeholders and media representatives to work on research-based issues and advocate for investments in sports through maximizing business participation. Sportscom also, sir, intends to build capacity of the new players in the sports ecosystem by building and nurturing a talent pool of sports person and be a knowledge hub for sharing best practices and promote sports culture in India by advocating for mainstream fitness and sports initiatives in schools and institutions. We are currently as Sportscom collaborating with Fit India movement. We had also submitted a note on Fit India to SAI even before the launch of Fit India movement. Sportscom is also collaborating with Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Fit India and CII in organizing India Sports Summit Fitness, a 10 billion opportunity. This was something we did last year and we were looking forward to having it this year. So sir, I would only say that our immediate priorities are 5 as Sportscom. 1, industry status to sports and sports infrastructure in India. Second, revival of live sports events and reverse charge mechanism. 3, rebuilding grassroots and community sports. 4, increasing the scope of sports in Schedule 7 of the CSR law. And finally, making Indian sports goods manufacturing sector Atmanirbhar. We had, sir, in line with the vision of the ministry, created a focus subgroup led by industry experts for each of these 5 themes for taking the agenda forward. Now I would like to, with your kind permission, sir, request the chairman of the respective subgroups to brief us on the activities and the initiatives. May I request first Mr. Udit Sheth, founder and MD, SE Transstadia, to share with us his thoughts on industry status to sports and sports infrastructure in India.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be part of this and have you as a part of this ecosystem today. I think without your blessings and the kind of role that you have made for Fit India, I think it is the basis of sport in India. And as Jalaj Bhai said, and thank you Jalaj Bhai for taking this initiative of Sportscom to the level that we have reached today. And while we have a long way to go, there is a really good agenda you have set with the entire membership of this community to really make sports big. As you see in this one chart that we have put together, India is at the bottom of the entire sports industry ecosystem. But therefore, it is also the biggest opportunity for us. And for this, I think that as a part of the infrastructure domain, I would just want to say one thing. In India alone, we have about 120 stadiums and we have about 700 sports facilities, which are very vast. It is 100,000 crore opportunity where we can have equal employment for everyone. If you can go to the next slide, please. So by getting this industry status, we believe that we can make the PPP and the private participation very, very, I think, vibrant in this country. We can have increased FDI, we can have fiscal incentives like GST, we can have long-term credit from the banks. And at the end of it all, we will make sure that we can contribute to entrepreneurship, entertainment, education, and excellence in the field of sport, which will drive the industry to the GDP contribution that we want to make it happen. Go to the next slide, please. The key challenges, sir, as we have discussed a number of times, is that globally, stadiums have a utilization of less than 1% per annum. And we thank you that Government of India, through your ministry, through your directive, has made all the facilities that you have available for free. I think that needs to percolate down to all the states. We need your support to make sure that that infrastructure is not only accessible, but we can, as private sector, make it viable and make it gainful for the entire sporting ecosystem and the non-sporting ecosystem, so that we have a good legacy plan all this infrastructure can become very fantastic city centers in our country. And one of the key areas, sir, we need is your, I would say, support in CSR coming into the sports infrastructure sector, so that that money can also be used to upgrade district level sports complexes, otherwise which are ignored. So really, your support will be of great use for us in this sector. Next slide. Also, as we have said, the accessibility is something that you have tried to address, and it is accessible at a central level. Now we need to also make sure that these stadiums are optimally utilized, and we use great technology to make sure that these stadiums are modular, viable. We can use modular grandstands. And one thing, sir, we need is a common minimum blueprint, which if the sports ministry can form a committee where with every sector where there is a sports field or a sports budget, there is a planned approach, whether it's schools or colleges or any others, to make sure that we have a great opportunity. So, sir, with this, I want to once again congratulate you to make sure that the Fit India movement becomes a bigger success. It is already at 10 crores of people who have participated, as you said. And once again, also congratulations for rebranding of SAI to make it a more dynamic organization. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Udit. May I now request Mr. Vivek Singh, Joint MD, Procam International. He will speak to us on revival of live sports events and reverse charge mechanism.
Namaskar, sir. So good to have you with us again. And thank you for being there with us. A quick update. In 2019, the live sports events sector touched 9,100 crores. Without COVID, the sector would have easily touched 10,000 crores in FY20. However, that could not happen. And now we are at tentatively 6,300 crores, and the revenue lost due to COVID across the board, including media, is approximately 4,000 crores. In this scenario, the challenges that stay in front of us is the revival of sports, quarantine rules, event cancellation insurance, and promoters' liability. I'll take the liberty of touching upon these four in a little detail. Next slide, please. Outdoor events to be permitted following all SOPs at the various levels. You have been at the driving force, and I still recall your interview to the press end of July, where you said as soon as possible, live sporting events should be permitted with a capped capacity. I also draw your attention to what my colleague Udit Sheth said a little earlier, that while the fore and far thinking SAI policy released in November 2019, making SAI Stadia and SAI infrastructure free, has been greatly appreciated and will help every promoter, especially in these trying times. The state governments have not taken cue. I think somehow a kind of a suggestion, I know state governments follow their own diktats, but a suggestion, a little encouragement from you will go a long way in this matter. Coming to the next point, overseas athletes are today subject to about 12 days of quarantine and multiple COVID tests, etc. We are concerned that such a long quarantine of 12 to 14 days will affect the caliber of elite athlete participation in sporting events in India. And our appeal to you and to the sports ministry is that a COVID negative certificate within 72 hours of their taking the flight to India, another COVID negative certificate within 36 hours of their arrival in India, and the creation of a bio bubble by the event promoter and organizer should be enough for participation, and the quarantine rules should be re-looked at the earliest. My third pillar is event insurance. And strangely, this is what we find, that the event cancellation insurance, specifically when taken by a private body for COVID-19, is not readily available by insurance companies. We don't know how to deal with this. We are addressing this, but any guidance from the Ministry of Sports, any assistance from the Ministry of Sports will be most welcome. The last pillar is accountability. Established COVID protocols must be in place for all events. SAI has given out protocols, the ministry has given out protocols from time to time, the national federations have given out protocols, and we are, as promoters, willing to adhere to all of them. But once the event adheres to that, maybe some consideration can be given that the rest of the liability and responsibility rests with the individual player or official, and the event and the promoter is not held liable when and after COVID protocols have been adequately followed. These 4 points explain our challenges. I have one last slide for presentation for your consideration. This is an area that is causing great amount of hurt to all sports promoters across the board within the country. For some reason, at the time of the launch of the GST, a erstwhile provision under service tax was carried forward that sponsorship would be under reverse charge. And not just under reverse charge, there will be a complete denial of input tax credit. This one aspect of GST has caused us tremendous hardship, squeezed down our liquidity, denied all profits, and now it's actually questioning the livelihood and sustainability of event promoters. We have made an appeal in writing to Secretary Sports, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and he has been very, very kind, very understanding. Given his finance background, he has completely appreciated our situation and has promised to take this up with the concerned people. However, the reason for this slide being here is we believe and feel earnestly that a push from your side would make a great deal of difference. Sir, you have been absolutely a beacon, a dynamic leader. Together, thanks to your auspices and your launch, even the largest citizen-led virtual platform called Sunfeast India Run as One was an outstanding success. And we did this under the umbrella of the Fit India movement. We request that we have come together as this body of Sportscom, where we really want to make a change to the situation on ground. And we believe that the time is right with you at the helm. With this, I end my short presentation and give it back to the Secretariat of Sportscom. Namaskar, thank you for being there with us.
Thank you, Vivekji. May I now request Mr. Vidyushpat Singhania, Managing Partner, Krida Legal, to talk about increasing the scope of sports in Schedule 7 of CSR law, please.
Thank you, sir, and good morning, Honorable Minister, sir. Sir, on behalf of Sportscom, we would like to extend thanks to you to attend our AGM of Sportscom. Sir, government has been leading the spending on sports for the time being, and Fit India and Khelo India, so that you have initiated under your aegis, have been the pioneer programs for sports in India. But sir, for CSR, sir, about 1,000 crores of CSR are contributed by the private sector in various activities. Out of that, only 191 crores, which is approximately about 1.9% of the entire budget, is contributed towards sports, sir. Now, so our objective is that if this amount could be increased in some manner, so that the private sector could also supplement the government efforts and the initiatives in some manner, and funds can be raised to augur the sports program. While fulfilling, sir, the CSR responsibilities, so the CSR committees that are contributed and constituted by various companies, when we've had discussions with them, they've said that the entry that is currently there in Schedule 7, which pertains to training to promote rural sports, nationally recognized sports, Paralympic sports, and Olympic sports, at some point is viewed narrowly by their auditors. And what they have requested, sir, is if this entry could be expanded, then they would be able to spend far more money under CSR for sports. Can we please move to the next slide, please? So our request, sir, is very small here, sir. So what we wanted is that under the CSR entry, if a few things could be included. The first, sir, is that if tournaments or one-off events, if they form a part of a structured sports training or a development program, and if they are recognized by the government or by a sports body, be it at the national level, state level, district level, or even at the panchayat level, then those should also spend on those should also be allowed within the CSR spends. The second, sir, which my colleague, Sir Udit Sheth, highlighted earlier, is we wanted, sir, inclusion of infrastructure development of sports, even at the local level and the district level. So there are so many facilities available, so many grounds available at right from the municipal and the panchayat level, which are currently lying vacant, sir. If CSR funds are allowed to be expended to develop those areas by the corporates, so that would also help in developing the infrastructure for sports right from the grassroots level, sir, and would really help in creating a large pool of sports persons, which will always help bringing pride to the country and developing the elite level as well. So one aspect which has also been missed out in the CSR besides the sports person, the stakeholders around those sports person, be it the groundsmen, sir, be it the masseurs, and be it the other maintenance staff that is required for the stadiums as well as for the sports science or for the upkeep of the sports people. So their contribution that are made towards for them or spend that are made towards them are currently excluded. So they also form a very, very important part of the sports ecosystem, and CSR spend on them should also be allowed, sir. So what we also wanted, sir, is considering all of this, if community development activities which are centered around sports could also be included within the CSR fund, because that would help in actually reducing crime as well as help in health benefits to the entire country, sir. Sir, just these small inclusions could be a game changer for the entire sport industry, sir. And so under your aegis, sir, as has been highlighted earlier, if such inclusions could be made, sir, it could leave a large legacy for the entire sporting system for the country, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vidyushpat-ji. Sorry, sir, we are bothering you with a lot of details. There are two more final speakers. We have next Miss Ashwini Nachappa, Olympian and Arjuna awardee, and she will share her thoughts on rebuilding grassroots and community sports, please.
Namaskar, sir. Today seems to be a very historic moment on two counts. One is CII's 100% commitment towards sports amongst all its stakeholders to promote sport in the direction that you wanted to go in India becoming or achieving the 10th position by the 2028 Olympics. I think that's a huge challenge, and this partnership will go a long way working with all stakeholders. And second, congratulations on the inauguration of the Atal Tunnel today, which was a historic tunnel. I watched it and it made us all very, very proud. So congratulations to you and the government on this historic moment. With regard to grassroots, I work with grassroots level sport because I also run a foundation in a very small district called Coog. And some of the challenges that we face is really not brought about in the national forum. So there are two things that I would like, the two challenges that we want to address today would be on how to revive the grassroots sport, because the grassroots revival is, the issue of grassroots sport is pre-COVID. It's not the post-COVID, because we've been talking, governments have been talking about this for a very long time. With regard to Fit India and the Khelo India, to some extent, yes, we have tried to reach to a certain sector, but really at the base level, we need to work much more to create a very inclusive sports forum for the grassroots people. And that involves the very basic district federations, the district associations, the academies, the entire stakeholder. And the COVID crisis today has made it worse because online school, online classes, kids have been indoor for the last 7 months almost. So that has led to many issues. We as a human race, we've been evolved with the day and light, 24 hours day and light. And that's how we build our immunity by being on the play field, by getting the vitamin D that is required for every child to strengthen their bodies, their bones and teeth. That has lacked. And with the result, mental health, obesity, anxiety, and name it. I mean, it's been an issue because I work with children. I also run a school. So I hear parents talking about this a whole lot. I have 850 students. Everybody wants to get back the feel and touch and the environment, the openness of being an inclusive, a social animal is currently lacking. And that's why we need to. How do we really get back on the feet? And how do we become a sport-loving nation? You have driven this fact, and the Prime Minister has, in certain terms, have made it very clear the love for sport and what physical fitness does to every one of us. And I think, how do we create or inculcate this love for sport early in life, in a child's life, when education is largely academic driven? I think with the new NEP, definitely has a scope to bring the love for sport. We still have to wait and see the implementation and assess in due course how sport will really change at the child level. And the second very important challenge is how do we diminish or put to rest the fear of COVID by building confidence. And I think that should be the priority of governments and all of us, is how do we really diminish that fear? Because in 7 months, the fear that has been instilled in all of us, especially the parents, fear to send the children out, though the government has now said October 15th, the stadiums will be open, the parks will be open. But how, is the parent willing to take that child out to play? Is what is the huge challenge, or to train is the huge challenge. So how do we really undo the fear that has been fueled nonstop over the last 7 months? And how can we build the confidence among parents in this context? Anupam, if you can go to the next. So what we proposed through meetings is that the first thing is to undo the fear is by creating the messaging right of building healthy bodies through sport in the best way is to build the child's immunity, running a sustained multimedia campaign through sport to tackle COVID and building immunity, involving sports icons and the Honorable Prime Minister and yourself to drive that message throughout the country in all regional languages to get over this fear. I think this is the very, very important thing that we need to start doing post the 7 months of being indoor, how do we drive the children out? How do we build the confidence? And the impact of this is purely to build immunity in every child to be outside. The second pillar here is integrating education and sports. So since I run a sports academy and a ICSE school, I can tell you firsthand at the grassroots level, it becomes a tedious effort to involve schools in running sports program. Though in my district, which is the smallest district in India, we hosted the first athletic championship, and it took the block education officer 15 days to even send a circular with such great hesitation to allow children to come free, where transport was provided, food was provided, yet there was no participation. So how do we really build that at grassroots level when education is in the forefront? And I think we need to really rethink, reimagine how we are going to be doing this. And I'm happy to partner with Sportscom and the ministry in bringing out issues of people who run like me, similar programs at the grassroots level to share our experiences that we have faced. And sports as an education, as I said, NEP, we will wait and see how NEP goes, but we cannot wait till the implementation. We need to drive this right now to attain that 2028 target that you have set for the country. The grassroots system, the sporting activities, we need to have a great structure in place. Currently, we know we have the Khelo India structure, but that is a competitive structure. What is there for schools to love? What is there for schools to participate? What is the incentive for school, for every child and parent to be out on that play field so that every parent also knows that there is this structure to climb the ladder? That is currently not available for parents to know. How does my child climb that ladder from the taluk level to the national level? So that has to be made clear. So broad-bracing grassroots sports is very important. So thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashwini. Can I request Mr. Neeraj Jain, sir? He's our last speaker. Neeraj ji is the whole-time director of Costco. He will be speaking about making Indian sports manufacturing sector Atmanirbhar.
First of all, thanks a lot, sir, for giving us your time, Honorable Sports Minister, Shri Kiran Rijiju ji. Thanks a lot for giving us your valuable time out of your busy schedule to hear us on these things. Today, I'll speak about the project very dear to our Prime Minister about making Indian Atmanirbhar and Indian sports manufacturing Atmanirbhar as a part of it. Sir, this industry is about 20,000 plus, the manufacturing side is 20,000 plus crores, out of which sports goods is about, hardware is about 4,500 crores, and the rest being the sports shoes and sports apparel. So the import and export figures are there. The difference is not much, but definitely there's a lot of scope to achieve and become one of the champion sector. And we could almost double these numbers if we overcome the key challenges faced by the industry. So the sports manufacturing, you see, is not being given an industry status. And there is, as of now, there was no nodal agency where we used to go. We could go and tell our problems and seek solutions for those. And sir, I really salute your vision to bring this up and hear us out and take our matter forward through the sports secretary and DG Sai, who are really, really very helpful and guiding us also. And of course, this platform of Sportscom, which has been given, and with due regards to Jalaj Bhai and all other members, they have done an excellent job in putting our things and promoting us to put our thoughts. So the key challenges in front of us now is that we have some import problem, that we don't have the raw materials, necessary raw materials available, which go into the making of quality products. And the adoption of technology is also slow. There also is a problem with the product certifications and standardizations, which I think should be developed in the future to come. Other than this, there are some structural problems like the GST. It has variable rates within the same subgroup. Sports and fitness are charged at different rates. Again, the other problems are the land availability, the high prices on the utilities, which are costs which are much higher than other nations, and that's why making the products more expensive. And there is actually less of focus on the sports substitution part of that. Can we shift to the next slide? And then so then we just briefed up the entire thing that we should have uniform GST for sports and fitness. Right now, sports is at 12%, fitness is at 18%, and worldwide it is the same. Sports and fitness is treated the same, and that's what we want, sir. So this will increase the market size, and that will definitely give boost to the fitness. At least you have things like yoga mats, like skipping ropes, like weight, dumbbells, small menial products which you use day to day for your fitness needs. Those are being taxed at 18%, whereas sports is 12%. And if it is together and they come under the same HSN code, which is 9506. So this, we are requesting that it should be done, and we see a market size increasing by almost 50%. So then second thing is that the Make in India, that Indian brands need to be promoted at the international stage like the other countries have done, and we see that they have been quite successful with that. For that, we need those certifications, and for getting international certifications, the cost is humongous. So we ask that if that could be subsidized, that 50% we will, the manufacturers will bear, and the rest can be shared and or reimbursed in some form. And another thing is that we could promote India as a Fit India manufacturing center, and we could have a global summit, a Fit India Sports Goods Manufacturer Global Summit, in which we can encompass and showcase the powers what India has and what India can do, because it is quite staggered. The shoes industry is separate from the sports goods. So if we put all of these together and showcase, it will be a very, very good thing for other nations which are already looking at buying from other alternative sources from China. They're looking at India for doing that, sir. So I think if we position ourselves, that will also be good. Another thing is that the sports goods are manufactured in Jalandhar and Meerut. What we are saying is that if we could have an integrated hub, we have a better logistical support, and we have some common facilities for sewage treatment, and the utilities are cheaper, and some common R&D facilities, and for checking the laboratories are maintained. Even that will add on and bring a lot of foreign companies to come and invest here, and get in a lot of FDI for this sport sector. And so the third is very specific to the industry, which is for increasing the exports. We have a few schemes which they are mentioned, which you could go through, that we could increase these incentives a little, and that will go a long way in promoting exports from India. Sir, the basic thing what we want to draw is focus on the increase in the market size, that the market size be increased, so that we could achieve the economies scale. We can have the FDI coming in, and we have an integrated hub for manufacturing at these two places. This will definitely boost manufacturing, sir, and provide employment, which is one of the key factors. And as you know that sports sector, sports and fitness sector is a big employment all across the world. All across the world is one of the key contributors for employment. So if we could do that, we definitely will upgrade our sports equipments, our manufacturing, our athletes will get better products, so their performance will be enhanced, and also encourage the sporting culture in our country. So once again, thanks a lot for hearing us out on that, and I hope we help. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeraj ji. Now may I invite Mr. Pulela Gopichand ji, Padma Bhushan, Chief National Coach, Indian Badminton Team. As I said earlier, part of the Olympic Task Force, and also a passionate person, a champion for physical literacy as a concept in India. Pulela ji. I think, Pulela, you are on mute. Yeah.
Namaskar. It gives me great pleasure to invite somebody whom I think is there at a time when sport in India is looking like never before. We in our country have never had the highest officers talk about sport so passionately. It is great to see the team with the minister, the secretary sports, DG Sai, such a dynamic team take up. So we as participants in sport, as people in sport, feel confident and enthusiastic about the future of sport. So as many of my colleagues have said, not only has there been great amount of work which has been done in the last few years, but I think the vision with which we have operated and done projects and things like Khelo India or Fit India have made us all enthusiastic about future of sport. You've been an avid sports person yourself. I know firsthand your knowledge about badminton, football, athletics, and your keen interest in sport in general. And whenever I see you, I see the energy and positiveness come through. I'm sure we, under your leadership, will do great work in the future as well. It's been an honor, and on behalf of each one of us at Sportscom, I would request you kindly to address us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. First of all, I feel extremely excited to listen to so many people who are doing so many things in their respective field at the same point of time. I feel Government of India, from the Honorable Prime Minister's side and my side, we are very fortunate to have a team like you all who can take things forward, whatever government thinks or government plans out. My hearty congratulations to the Sportscom for organizing this second annual general body meeting, where all the like-minded people have come together. My greetings to Jalas Daniji, the Sportscom Industry Confederation President, and also the Chandrajit Banerjee, who is the Director General of the CII, and of course, all those people who are not speaking but who are joined also in this important meeting, which we are having virtually. I have heard what Udit had said, and along with that, Vivek Singh also made certain points, and Viduspat, Ashwini Nachappa, and Neeraj, and Pulela Gopichand. I think all those points which you have made are extremely not only relevant, but those are the points where government has to take certain proactive action immediately. There are certain things I know, I understand that due to lack of cohesive or suitable policy, it becomes an obstacle for those people who are working on the field. It becomes difficult. And also, there are many things which I also feel that government needs to take very urgent call on. So first of all, I would like to request that some of those very relevant observations as well as suggestions being made to be brought into a concise point wise, and then give it to me after this meeting, and I'll work out a coordination meeting with the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Industry and Commerce, because Government of India, you know, we have to have a consultation before making a certain policy which is connected with so many other ministries. And of course, the state governments also need to be brought on board, because the GST Council is consisting of the finance ministers of all the states and union territories, which is chaired by the Union Finance Minister. So that is for the policy matter. And I would like to have a joint meeting, both my ministry with the finance and commerce and industry. Secondly, there are certain things which can be done by my own ministry. And certainly I will be taking proactive steps to address some of the basic issues which were being raised today. Of course, many steps have been taken in last 1.5 years. And before that, when Prime Minister started this Khelo India program, things have changed. But what I have realized is, during my last 1.5 year tenure, that there is no lacking in terms of efforts. There is no such thing where I feel that government has not tried. But what I feel what is lacking is the effective implementation of those policies and ideas which you and we all share together. That is why this the Fit India movement also has come into. See, to make a very general point, I will not touch into the technicalities. I'll just make some very general observation. We all know that India, as a large country, we have huge challenges. Now, the business part, sports as an industry, which you have very nicely talked about. How to make sports as a very vibrant industry, which generates huge revenues and employment. We have to take the people of the country on board. We have to involve them. I have given this observation before also, that many people come to me and say, why cricket is such a rich sport and why other sports are not rich enough. So it's a very, very simple and common answer which I give, that if the citizens involved, if citizens are part of that game, and if citizens enjoy that sport, they go and watch, or they watch in the television, naturally the revenue will come, money will be generated. So until or unless we involve the people of the country in large numbers, then the sport will not be able to take off. Now, if there are very important and interesting tournaments, but if the stadium is empty, if the viewership in the television is not impressive, then how do we expect that it becomes a vibrant industry or commercial activities? We cannot generate unless we involve the people. It will always remain as a challenge. There are positive sides, there are negative sides. But on the positive side, I have seen people's inclination towards sports. Now, when we talk about sports, we look from two angles. One is sports as a culture, as a way of life for the people. And the offshoot of that is the sports for excellence. Now, if there are sports culture in our society, then the emerging of the sporting icons and the champions are automatic offshoot. This will become. Now, if more than 50 crore Indians are somehow involved in cricket, then every year you will have multiple cricket stars will emerge. So if we can create, like Ashwini Nachappa was our sprinter, if we have people's understanding about athletics, if large numbers of people understand what athletics is, then automatically Ashwini Nachappa will become a superstar. If people don't know, if 97% of the people do not know who is our sprint queen, who is the fastest Indian, how do you produce champions? How do you create icons? Now, Pulela Gopichand had won All England. He has done a good job. He has created a name. But still, how many people know him that time? Now, he has done excellent coaching when he retired and still contributing to the growth of the badminton in India. Now, people are coming to know. So the positive things are happening. I always give this example. I think in numerous times I have given this example. When I was in a remote place in Arunachal Pradesh, I also had sporting icons. So those days, Carl Lewis, the great sprinter, was like an idol. He, in 1984, he was the first athlete after Jesse Owens to win 4 Olympic gold. 100 meter, 200 meter, long jump, and 4 into 100 relay. And then 1988, he again repeated his thing, and he was the first person to defend his 100-meter title. So I was dreaming if I can see him in person. When he came to Delhi, in 1991, the Golden Athletics meet, I was there in Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, and I was very disappointed that not even 5,000 people were there in the stadium. When the Carl Lewis at his peak, superstar of the world, not only his own country, United States. So that shows the ignorance or lack of awareness about sports in our country, which we see in cricket. Why don't we see in other sports? So these days, if I'm not promoting sports, doesn't mean that I don't like cricket. But I feel that cricket doesn't need that kind of support because people are already there. I need to promote other sports. Now, these are interlinked. If people develop sporting culture, if people develop love for the sports, then whatever we talk about, rest of the thing will automatically be taken care of. That is why cricket, without being supported by the government, has become such a big industry. Now today, the IPL is happening outside India. My ministry, I had given permission to them to conduct the event outside India because they felt that UAE will be a better country to organize at this point of time. I said, it's okay, as long as we have viewership in India. So first of all, before we talk about the policy, program, support system, we have to create awareness amongst the citizens towards the sports. That is why the change in the national education policy also has come at the right time. Now, if the parents are saying that they don't want their children to play because it is going to affect their career, that means there is something wrong in the way we take sports. Sports is such an excellent career. And now we have this National Sports Education Board, where I have already given my observation and my suggestion to the committee, which they are going to submit to me very soon, that sports must become a very viable and preferred subject as a career. Now, new education policy talks about sports as part of the education. And I had a detailed discussion with my colleague, Education Minister. Now, policy has been formulated. We will be talking about the implementation. So while the process of implementation is undergoing, we are making sure that it is implemented as per what we have desired and as I have received the inputs from various stakeholders from the sports sector. Why should there be a difficult choice that should I play or should I study? Study is also for your life and sports is also for your life. So sports is part of education. Sports is part of your life. Why it should be a difficult choice whether to play or study? So this kind of dichotomy, the situation created is because of the way we treat the sports sector, or I should say that due to lack of awareness or understanding towards the sports. Now the University of Manchester, the Vice Chancellor and his team, they came to me and he gave me a very interesting thing which they had experienced in their university. England used to be good in sports and it went down, and suddenly after 2012 London Olympics, the status of England had climbed up. England is one of the top 3 countries now: United States, China, England. So how did England suddenly change and climb that ladder in the ranking of the sports? It's because they have started giving importance and preference to sports in education. So the Vice Chancellor told me that in the University of Manchester, they started giving priorities and preference to sports stars in admission in the college. And within the university, they had created lots of emphasis on promotion of sports. So when they started giving lots of preferences while in taking admission also, and within 2-3 years, because of that preference for the sports, the ranking of the university had risen as one of the top in the world, not only in England or UK. So there is that deep connect between your ability in life and your interest in sports. Sports and fitness is actually making a person more stronger, who will become more successful in future. So these are some of the basic things which I have observed. Now, even if I talk about perfect programs, policies, and financial assistance and everything from the government, unless we bring in the change in the mindset of the citizens of the country, we will not be able to create a sports culture, what we are talking about. That is why, in a nutshell, I had suggested that whatever suggestions you have given as a policy matter or for necessary steps to be taken from my ministry, I would like to have those things in writing. And if possible, CII also can involve the other business organizations like SOCHM and FICCI and all, so that we can have a broad roundtable meeting together when I'm meeting the Finance Ministry and Ministry of Industry and Commerce. We can come together. And other than that, there are certain things which I have taken decision in the ministry which are having a positive impact on the ground. Now, this COVID-19 has been a disaster for the sports sector, and we have seen during the presentation that how much revenue loss it has caused to the sports sector. It's very painful to see this thing, but this is something which we have to fight out and overcome. So to come out of this lockdown during this unlock phase 4, you have seen how the sporting activities have been opened up, and we have given preferences to the training now. Most of our elite athletes are given proper training, and I'm almost on daily basis taking the review of how the progress is going on. Barring few of the sporting disciplines, most of the elites, the training and their coaching are going on. And very soon we will start our juniors also. And from this year, we have started the tops for juniors. We are going to give 25,000 per month to an athlete who is very young, but which we have identified and picked up for the future training. So from the day one, when a small child of 8 years or 10 years is identified, the government will take over the entire responsibility. We will deposit per month 25,000, not only maybe in his account or his parents' account, so that in the future, if something happens to that child, he remains secured. Because sports is, it's so delicate. Something can happen, injury or lack of, your proper training, some injury or something can happen which can, destroy your career. It can be a catastrophic because human being cannot remain fit and fine all the time. Anything can happen. So I thought since we have the top senior, we must also have top junior. So when I talk about India to be in the top 10 in next 8 years' time, then we will have to have concrete measures in place. That is why this is just one of the steps which we have taken. So I'm planning in next within 1 year time, we should be having some 1,500 to 2,000 junior athletes who will be directly under the supervision of Sports Authority of India, and through that, some of them will be placed in some private academies like Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy or Maricom Boxing Academy or Prakash Padukan Dravid Academy, PT Usha Athletic Academy or Ashwini Nachappa is running, saying we can have some kind of understanding with her academy. So whether it's a state government academy or Sports Authority of the run academy or private academy, all are basically being supported by my ministry only. So we would like to spread out these young athletes in different sporting academies across the country. And I would like to see the numbers to be increased. Of course, it has a huge financial burden, but I don't consider that as a burden. This is an investment. And these are steps to create future champions. And during my time, I have already told my ministry officials, my secretary, DG, and all my team that no sports person should face any difficulties in the pursuit of our sporting excellence. We will take care of all the needs. Money will not be a problem. All necessary arrangement will be done. But this is only for those who are elite athletes, those who are being selected for the future training. But when we look at the larger picture of the country, India is such a huge country. Many times people write to me or send messages through different channels that there are certain problems which ministers should look into. I definitely would like to look into all issues, but the fact is sports is a state subject, and it is divided. India is divided into 36 states and union territories. So the state governments and UTs must give priorities to the sports. Anybody who plays for India, anybody who is selected here in the national camp, I take full responsibility for that. But beyond that, you have to have larger spectrum of activities at grassroots level. So grassroots level thing, which has been presented nicely, and I really appreciate the presentation. The grassroots coaching, the grassroots training, identification, talent scouting at a very young age, these are very critical in bringing out the real raw talent, especially from the rural India. Now, I am planning, because of the COVID, I'm really upset because my plans and my ideas are getting lots of hit by this pandemic. But maybe within next 4 or 5 months' time, I should be able to form all the talent scouting committees for all the disciplines. Initially for the 14 disciplines which we have prioritized for the Olympics, but that doesn't mean that I will not give priority to other sports, including non-Olympic sports also, indigenous games also are being promoted now. So all the talent scouting committees are to be formed in a different regions of the country, because we can't have one committee for the country. Our country is too big, and we are not a communist country where you say something and it is implemented downright. We have rule of law, not rule by law. So we have to have sufficient numbers of committees at regional level. And these committees will be headed by, or the members would be, all those who have extremely extensive knowledge about the sports, former sports stars, coaches, sports enthusiasts, those who have the requisite knowledge about the sports. They will be part of the committee, mostly former sports. So that is why I don't want that former players and sports stars should remain detached from the government activities. They should be part and parcel of all kind of activities we conduct in our country. We have to engage them. We have to take their services. That is why in the Sports Authority of India, I have already given direction to recruit all those who are eligible to become the coaches. More than 1,500 assistant coaches now are being filled up, which were just lying vacant for all these years. And then, of course, then we will have a senior coaches. Then, of course, we will have high performance directors. And I have removed the 2 lakhs cap for the Indian coaches, that salary. Why should Indian coaches get less paid than the foreign coaches? There's no reason. If foreign coaches can be paid per month 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, why Indian coaches, the eligible good Indian coaches, be paid less? This is totally discriminatory. So I have removed this immediately. I said this is unacceptable. Whether it's a matter related to the supplements, foods, and basic trainings, or all kind of financial supports to our high elite athletes and high level senior coaches, we must ensure that we give full support to our indigenous, our Indian players, coaches, and our experts. So this is a kind of Atmanirbhar Bharat also, that we strengthen our indigenous talents. Now, besides that, there are so many steps being taken. I am in touch with many stakeholders, and I am very hopeful. Initially, I hope that by the month of October, some kind of sporting activities should happen in India, but it does not happen because the COVID cases are rising and the numbers are becoming higher and higher. Of course, because of the proper steps taken by the Honorable Prime Minister along with the state governments, our medical team, the paramedics and all those COVID warriors are doing excellent job. So the fatality rates in India is one of the lowest in the country. Being a large country, the COVID infected persons rates are going up, but the positive thing is the fatality rates are less. So though we are not having any kind of sporting competitions right now, but as I see things emerging, hopefully the vaccine will come out soon. And early next year, we should be having some kind of very fascinating sporting events back in the field. Everybody's waiting for the real life sporting events to happen. As a sports enthusiast, I also feel suffocated without sporting events being conducted. It must happen, so I'm so desirous of being part of that lively things happening. And of course, some of the sporting competitions are happening across the globe. Minus spectators in the stadium, things are happening, but nothing like sports with spectators. Nothing like stadium filled with all noise of the spectators. Something, I always feel that my life will be, dull and meaningless without sporting activities. From very small, as a small child, I used to always dream of going to stadiums and watch sporting events, and that has not changed. After becoming the sports minister of our country, I am, thinking day and night how to fulfill all those dreams and all those wishes which I used to have as a small child. I could not represent India. I could not play for India. I could not play in Olympics because I got access to all these facilities only when I am, past my college. So at a young age, I used to play for my state, but that was raw. Once there was a hockey coach who came to my district. He was not actually a professional coach per se, but he was part of the hockey activities. So he came and somebody told me he's hockey coach. I did not know what is coach also. So we said, please give some coaching to all of us. So we, 20, 30 students, we gathered in my district, and the coach came and he said, every morning, okay, come gather, you get up early morning, 5:30, come to the ground. So we went to the ground. He made us run all the time. He made us run up and down, do exercise. We were not given the hockey stick or hockey ball to play. So he was telling us to run, keep running. After 7 days, I said, when we will play hockey? Then he said, to play good hockey, first of all, you have to be physically fit. You have to increase your stamina, all these things. See, imagine, at school at class 10, I even didn't know that there is a coaching also, and there is this kind of prerequisite training necessary to become a player. So that kind of a lack of knowledge and understanding about the sports, how would we become champion? And in today's time, I really don't want any of our youth to face that kind of difficulties and darkness which we faced in our time. So these are some of very general thoughts which keeps creeping up in my mind. Now, as a sports minister, of course, I have to devote lots of time on the policy matter and the administration and so many things. But my thought about all these basic, small things, I feel these are very important. And if I don't involve myself with the sporting fraternity, I will never understand the sports itself. So that is why I try to meet and talk to the athletes, the former year, the yesteryear athletes, the stars who represented India. Whenever I meet them, I talk about what had happened during their time. And then the present players, I interact what is required to be done for them. And of course, with the young players also, I try to know about their expectation and whatever they feel, what else can be done. And it's a very important interaction. And CII, I think the business community today, in today's time, are doing great service to the nation by devoting their resources and their mind for the promotion of sports and fitness. And finally, with the Fit India movement going very good, yesterday I attended one of the function organized by CRPF, where the Divyangs, the physically disabled cyclists, they completed their cycling from Sabarmati Ashram to Rajghat on 2nd October. I was there and I was very excited that our Fit India Freedom Run, which concluded yesterday, which was started on 15 August, which I had launched, got more than 10 crore participations. It was such an exciting to see that, Fit India is becoming people's movement. The Honorable Prime Minister had stated when it was launched last year that Fit India movement has to be people's movement. So when the country moves, when the citizens of the country are involved in physical activities, the country will become active, the country will become fit. If the citizens, what is country? If the citizens doesn't move, how will country become prosperous? It is a basic thing for everybody to understand. Country is made of its people. If people are not fit, if people are not active, that country cannot become prosperous. The fact that all those developed countries have devoted lots of their resources in sports and fitness is that without the fitness level of the citizens rise to a certain level, a country cannot progress. So countries' prosperity and the fitness of its citizens are directly linked with each other. And with that thing in mind, the Honorable Prime Minister launched Fit India movement. And that is one of the movement when I took over as a sports minister, we devoted, and it was launched and it was well taken. So my final appeal to the corporate sector is that your initiative, your participation is key. And these days I see our corporate people are fit. Look at all the businessmen. They are like, sports stars, especially the younger lots. All the young corporate guys are extremely fit, maintaining their fitness level to the excellent, appreciable level. I'm very impressed by the corporate sector. So each corporate house must have a fitness regime for its employees, for the team in the house, so that it becomes a very vibrant, industrial body. In the same manner, we are starting this Fit India certification thing. More than 1.5 lakh schools have already registered under the Fit India certification program, which we have launched. The Honorable Prime Minister was part of the Fit India dialogue, which we had conducted 2 weeks back. It was very successful. And more than 1 crore registration in MyGov. Imagine, I mean, so many, participation was unexpected in earlier time. So I think the country has changed. We have really taken ourselves the challenge of making India a fit nation. So with the twin objective of making India a sporting nation and a fit nation, we are moving forward. And as a close-knit partner, the industrial bodies, all these important bodies like CII, FICCI, SOCHM, these are actually the backbone of the programs launched by the Government of India. And today, our former athletes like Ashwini Nachappa, Monalisa Barua, and Gopi Chand, they are, in the forefront of all kind of activities, and they are actively involved with the industries. It's very good. It's wonderful to see that their expertise are being used by our various industry bodies, and they are being utilized in the service of the nation. And as I said in the beginning, whatever suggestions I received today can be sent to me, in a very concise form of write-up, and then I look forward for that combined joint meeting with the Finance and Industry and Commerce Ministry in future, so that whatever you have the expectation from the government, we will try to stand by that. Thank you very much for having me, and I really love to be there. Anything where I learn more, though I have just made certain random observation, but I learn more from listening to you all. That is how we have to move forward. I have to have the ideas which you have before me, so that I can contribute something from the government side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Can we have a round of applause for him, please? And sir, I can only say, whether it's vision, whether it's energy, whether it's empathy, whether it's ideas, you have brought all that on the table. And we as Sportscom are committed in this cause, on this journey that you have embarked on, and would be very happy for partnership. I want to, sir, request at the very end, another sports person who's been involved with Olympic Task Force and also with Sportscom from its inception, Viren Raskina, who is a Arjuna awardee, as you know, and also an Olympian. He is now the CEO of Olympic Gold Quest. So may I request Viren now to propose a vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Jalaj Bhai. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Minister Shri Kiren Rijiju ji, Mr. Tandrajit Banerjee, Director General of CII, Jalaj Bhai, ladies and gentlemen, Shri Kiren Rijiju ji, Sir, on behalf of the Sportscom family, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to you for being with us on this very important day for Sportscom at our second annual general meeting. You made so many important points, sir. I actually, I didn't have enough paper with me to note all of them down, but I just want to say we appreciate your very powerful words on developing other sports, creating awareness among citizens about sports and making it a viable career. You rightly said that the Fit India movement must become a people's movement. I must add here that at the Sportscom Managing Committee, thankfully due to the presence of Gopi Chand and Ashwini, my two friends, they are keeping the average fitness levels of the Managing Committee pretty high. You also significantly mentioned about supporting almost 1,500 to 2,000 top elite junior athletes by the TOPS program. That is an excellent initiative. Recruitment of former sports persons as coaches and promotion of Indian coaches, so important for the development of sports in India. Thank you for taking time out from your immensely busy schedule and sharing your valuable insights and ideas. Your support is truly a great encouragement for us at Sportscom. I must add, sir, that you have been such a dynamic minister, leading by example, so hands-on, and you have always emphasized that the most important stakeholder is the athlete, be it at the grassroots level or at the elite level. And I'm sure that will encourage so many kids to play sport and truly encourage a culture of sports in the country and develop the sports industry as well. We are glad to share that Sportscom is working very closely with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, including SAI, on several initiatives. Thank you once again and sincerely look forward to your guidance in the future. I would like to thank Jalaj Bhai for his committed leadership to Sportscom. Thank you for your guidance, sir. Thank you all the members of the Managing Committee of Sportscom for your active participation, guidance and constant support. Thank you to all our Sportscom partners who have supported us in taking forward our various initiatives. Special thanks to CII and Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, sir, who has been with us right from day one. Thank you also to our other partners, Costco India, Gulf Oil India, Jet Synthesis, Krida Legal, Procam International, Sona, Comstar, and Transtadia. Thank you all. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Have a wonderful weekend and stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. This was truly inspiring. It was 1.5 hours. We didn't realize the time just flew by. I'm sure you have other commitments also.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be with you all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jalaj. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like you, na?